Tonight, Whyalla and Cleve one day, Port Lincoln the next. The state opposition continues its tour of the Spencer Gulf. And no birds were harmed in the making of this pipeline. SA Water to put a halt on construction to protect an endangered species.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. First tonight, there's been a fatal crash along the Augusta Highway at Snowtown. Emergency services and major crash investigators made their way to the scene just after 12:30 this afternoon, following reports of a collision. The Augusta Highway was closed to traffic in both directions between Snowtown and Lochiel, with diversions in place along Blythe Road, Magpie Creek Road and Condowie Plain Road. While investigations are underway, it's advised motorists avoid the area if possible. We'll have more on this developing story as it comes to hand. It's the second leg of the Shadow Cabinet's tour of the regions. Today, the Leader of the Opposition stopped by Port Lincoln, discussing the opportunities for the Eyre Peninsula.
The Shadow Cabinet won't be sidelined. The Leader of the Opposition making his second trip to the Eyre Peninsula this year. This time around, the party is holding forums hearing from locals.
We've spent the last couple of days visiting various towns across the region. Different ministers and different MPs have gone to different spots, of course, but I've gone to Whyalla, to Cleve, and now down to spend 2 days in Port Lincoln.
The former Environment and Water Minister not forgetting about the desalination plant, a project he has been heavily involved in since the get-go.
Project that is needed for the economic sustainability and critical human needs as well within this region. So we're passionate about seeing this delivered. Our message is to Susan Close, stop dithering.
Mr Spears hoping to build upon the Eyre Peninsula's potential as a region, growing the economy and the population. Healthcare also a major topic of discussion at the forum held in Cleve.
There is a big interest in what the Labor government, the city-centric Labor government, will do when it comes to healthcare on the Eyre Peninsula. Healthcare, dementia support, aged care support.
The Liberal Party saying they intend on being an active party.
From opposition, we will be putting lots of ideas out into the public domain, but we'll also be using forums like our Parliament to challenge the government and hold them to account.
Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
More details are coming to light about yesterday's incident at a school in Port Augusta. Here's Daniel Pizarro with the latest.
A 15-year-old girl from Port Augusta remains in hospital pending a mental assessment after allegedly attacking 2 staff members. Police were called to the scene around midday after reports came in that a student kicked a door and assaulted staff, but no injuries have been reported. The entire school was placed into lockdown twice during the afternoon, with students asked to remain in classrooms while others outside the school grounds couldn't enter. A student said off camera there was confusion about what was happening while they were stuck in lockdown and found the situation bizarre. Following yesterday's incident, students returned to class as normal today. Maddie, back to you.
Thanks for that, Daniel. A major pipeline project between Morgan and Whyalla has been pushed back to protect the habitat of an endangered bird species. SA Water says it will prioritise the environment and local businesses above everything else.
A spanner has been thrown in the works for SA Water's pipeline project, with the company being notified about a newly listed threatened native flora and fauna late into their planning process.
So the Mallee bird community is a group of 20 bird species, including the Mallee fowl and the black-eared myna, which are now considered nationally endangered.
SA Water postponing the renewal of the 80-year-old pipeline until 2023, as sections of the project are within the Mallee bird community. However, the company says the decision will not impact the community and businesses that rely on the pipeline for their water supply.
So we're prioritising additional environmental studies to further understand the potential impact of the project on the bird community.
A range of field investigations and spatial monitoring will take place and be submitted to the Department of Climate Change, Energy and the Environment and Water later this year.
We want to deliver projects that are underpinned by environmental preservation, and that's why we've taken the opportunity to pause the project.
SA Water hope to move forward with the pipeline project next year, with the confidence they aren't harming the environment and those who call it home. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill is one of the regional cities set to benefit from a $3 million boost to the local economy. The state government will be launching a marketing campaign to encourage more visitors to go from the city to the country. Joshua Mercer has the story.
Broken Hill will be on the receiving end of a tourism boost if the state government's new marketing campaign goes to plan. The New South Wales government will assist more than 24 program partners across 28 local government areas and 4 border regions with purposeful marketing from the Feel New marketing program. The Silver City is one of those partners in both the Feel New cooperative and is also part of the Border Recovery marketing program. Minister for Tourism Ben Franklin said the funding would deliver campaigns aimed at enhancing awareness and driving bookings to the state's incredible attractions and visitor experiences in the regions. The goal of the marketing campaign is to drive long-term social and economic benefits to New South Wales and to make our state the premier visitor economy of the Asia-Pacific region. The Feel New program will have 2 key streams of funding. The first is the marketing support for Border Recovery, which is over $1 million. The second is the LGA marketing, where the 26 recipients will receive $2 million for high-impact campaigns to drive last-minute bookings, encourage visitor spending, and increase the length of stay. Broken Hill's tourist season is thriving at the moment, and the marketing campaign will make sure that it continues in the future. With the Broken Hill Festival just around the corner, there's no signs of the Silver City slowing down anytime soon.
Still to come tonight, Broken Hill City Council decide on a temporary location for the library as the new one is built. And coming full circle, John Pirrie Secondary School students show off their latest art creations. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Gulf News. Broken Hill Library finally has a timeline and will be moving forward early next year. It was one of the topics up for discussion at Council's ordinary meeting last night.
The library upgrade will begin when the tender estimates come in, which is likely to be in the new year.
So the next stage will be to make sure the stuff that's in the library has a temporary place to be. You can't start works until all that stuff's moved, so it's gone out to tender estimates.
Not only will the library be upgraded, but specialised archives will be as well, preserving the city's history and a different place to where it was originally meant to go.
There was talk of several million being spent on the basement at the council to house the archives. I thought that was a waste of grant money and that we should have a brand new library.
While the work is underway, the library will be moved to a temporary facility, the bottom floor of the council administration building.
So the bottom floor of the admin building where the rates are paid, the rates will for a short time be able to be paid at the Tourism Information Centre.
Though the Silver City is known more for AFL, one of the city's rugby league grounds could be getting a facelift with the reformation of the E.T. Lamb Memorial Oval Committee and another organisation joining in.
The Greyhound Association is looking at partnerships, and there's a potential there at some stage for that to be upgraded and may house rugby and cricket. So that may be a while off.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A Broken Hill man is walking from the Silver City to Cameron's Corner to raise awareness for one of our cutest marsupials and to raise money for a critical health service. Astrophysicist Dr. Peter Hill started off the 435-kilometre trek today and will stop into the Sturt Desert Bilby Sanctuary on the way. It's not the first big walk the doctor has been on. Earlier this year, he walked all the way to Adelaide. And for that adventure, he was raising awareness for the way astrophysics is taught in schools. Money raised on this walk will go to the Royal Flying Doctors Service. The South Australian Living Artists Festival has come to an end in Port Pirie, but not before a night to reflect on all the art created through the month of August, with John Pirie Secondary School students putting their clay art on display.
Proud parents, guardians, teachers and members of the community hovered around the students' ceramic artworks last night, which they created with the help of artist Gus Clutterbuck. The children learning more than just artistic skills from his visit.
With your career you can do art instead of other things.
The students spent time with Gus, learning about ceramic artwork and all the different elements involved, including the moulding of clay. Students were encouraged to choose their own patterns and shapes, with student Molly going for a dreamcatcher design.
I did like stars and all that, and these are the leaves.
Having an artist visit the school is something John Pirie strongly recommends and will definitely apply for the same program again in the future.
It's woken me up, if that makes any sense. We'll start to get a little bit stagnant there, and you get an artist come out and he just puts that spark back into you, and it's good just to have him up here to do that.
The students' artwork will now be exhibited to the wider community as part of the Sala Festival, further exposing students to the South Australian Visual Arts program and a possible career in the industry. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. Port Augusta Racing Club recognised on a state level. And when worlds collide, meet the former teacher bringing school students together with retirees. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News this Thursday. Port Augusta Racing Club has won big at the Racing SA Awards. Management says working with the local community made this recognition possible.
It's all smiles at the Port Augusta Racing Club, who are proudly showing off their trophy after winning the Most Outstanding Achievement Award by a club.
Really wonderful recognition for all involved, and that includes the volunteers who are out here on a weekly basis. It includes the recognition of the great support we get from the Port Augusta community through sponsorship, being contra and financial arrangements. It includes the wonderful support we get from people attending race days.
It was a real coup to win that award on behalf of the northern region, especially the city of Port Augusta. The amount of help we've had from local government, state, federal, and also the community that's been back behind us.
The racecourse's renovations and modernising made possible by the Work for the Dole program and local businesses for construction.
When you think of it, I think we've really aimed to put a place on that's friendly to the public, the racing public and the community in general. And that includes the people with a disability and young kids.
The racecourse is now being offered for off-season functions and events to get the most use out of it when racing isn't on. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Golf News.
A new playgroup has opened up in Port Lincoln, celebrating the connection between the young and the old. Young at Heart welcoming the community to participate, no matter what your age may be.
They say it's never too late to learn new tricks. The Young at Heart play space a chance for the elderly to spend time with younger children and vice versa.
It all started when I watched the ABC TV program about 4-year-olds in the old folks' home, and I just saw lovely connections between older folk and young folk and big changes in people's lives and a lot of happiness.
Sue and the team have been busy putting together a range of activities for all to get involved in.
We've got things like a dress-up corner and a play kitchen, we've got a book corner, reading corner, we've got games and toys, we've got sideshow alley, games alley, we've got painting.
Young at Heart organisers are encouraging people over 60 and children between 3 and 4 years old to come down with a guardian each Wednesday afternoon.
The idea of the afternoon is that we will just all play together, young and old and caregivers and parents, and just have fun for an hour, and then we'll call the group together, pack up the activities.
Sponsors helping the event, with Drake supplying food and Kmart offering up toys. After a world full of lockdowns, Young at Heart aim to ease some of the loneliness along the way.
Just to make us feel that we've got friends out there, we've got people that are interested in us, and a fun place to be, and that you're not doing this journey on your own. There's people who care about you.
Sessions will be held every Wednesday at the Unity Hill Church during the school term between 1:30 and 3 p.m. Henry Millick, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. What's biting and where? Fishing tips for anglers in Port Pirie and Port Augusta. and we'll have the weather details with Ruby Cairns. Welcome back to 7 Spencer Golf News. Fishing, whether recreationally or professionally, is one of our region's most loved pastimes. And every Thursday, we bring you our Fish and Tips segment, where our experts share their inside knowledge of the best places to wet a line. Let's see what we can reel in around Port Augusta.
G'day and welcome to this week's Fish and Tips from Port Augusta, Jewel of the North. Well, some of you get a little bit of glimpse of that during the day, but winter's still hanging on. There's the odd squid getting caught, but not very many of those. King George whiting can be found down around Yatala Harbour. The best catches have been getting, not bagging out, but they're getting some good feeds in there. Lots of salmon trout around, and for salmon trout around, I'll try over the other side around Port Patterson, the old powerhouse site, for some kingfish. People that have been trying for King George whiting have been getting the odd flathead as well. Crabs are sort of a bit patchy, but they take a little while to come on the bite there too. That's all we have from the Jewel of the North.
Welcome another week around the Golf Fishing Tips. Last weekend was a little bit better than we actually thought, but it still gives us an opportunity. The weather is still pretty cool, so we'll still get our King George whiting from Ward Spit down to Woods Point, and also over at the Barrows Beach you should be able to find some fish. We actually have a fishing ban information coming up around the 15th of September, so we'll report to you next week when we get a bit more details on that. And we're starting to look at the moment for salmon. There's some big salmon coming around and snook at this particular time. So they both will roll together. So anywhere you've got about 12 foot of water in a channel, absolutely trawl and all that sort of stuff. One of the best rigs you can use is a 1-0 hook with a piece of fuel pipe over it. It creates a lot of bubbles and the salmon just love chasing them. So try Port Broughton for that. You'll go really, really well. That's all we got this week. We'll see you next week.
Some excellent suggestions. I really should be taking some notes. But time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Ruby Cairns. Ruby, how was the first day of spring?
Good evening, Maddie. Well, let's just say it could have been better. Temperatures were in the minuses in some places like Ceduna and Woodner, and there was also some rain. Cummins recorded a little downpour just after 1 p.m, around 0.5 millimetre. Let's get into today's temperatures now. 15 for Whyalla. Port Pirie reached 17 degrees at 1:35. Clare topped 13 degrees, about 20 past 2. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, Coober Pedy was our warmest centre, 21 degrees, 18 in Port Augusta and Woodner, 16 was the top in Port Lincoln. Temps jumped by 10 degrees in just 2.5 hours in Broken Hill this morning, reaching a max temp of 19. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a weak front over the south will dissipate tonight. A strong high pressure system southwest of the Bight will move only slowly eastwards over the next few days to be centred near Tasmania early next week. A low pressure trough will also develop near the western border later on Tuesday. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, we'll start with the Gulf waters. Southeasterly winds 15 to 20 knots, seas around a metre, increasing to 1.5 metres. South to southwesterly swells between 1 metre and 2.5 metres. Cloudy in Port Lincoln tomorrow between 7 and 14 degrees. Cleve cloudy and 13, between 5 and 17 in Woodner on Friday, partly cloudy conditions. Partly cloudy in Whyalla as well, down to 8 degrees tonight, 16 tomorrow. Port Augusta has some sun tapered down with some clouds, headed for a top of 18 degrees. A cloudy top of 15 for Kadina. Partly cloudy skies in Port Pirie to end the working week, 17 degrees. Clare will be partly cloudy and 12 degrees. And there will be some light winds around Broken Hill tomorrow, headed for a max of 16 degrees. Taking a look further through the week now, Saturday's not looking too bad at this stage. There will be some sunny cities in Port Augusta and Broken Hill. Perfect conditions for a day at the footy in the Silver City for the local AFL Grand Final. Partly cloudy in most of the other areas on our map, temperatures between 15 and 19. Sunday will be a bit warmer than Saturday, some pretty nice conditions right across the board. 17 17 for Whyalla, Kadina, Broken Hill and Adelaide, 19 in Woodner and Port Pirie, and would you look at Port Augusta showing off with a top of 21 degrees, partly cloudy and 15 for Port Lincoln. And finally, taking our first look at how Monday's shaping up. Conditions-wise, it will be more of the same, partly cloudy conditions from Port Lincoln right up to Coober Pedy. Temps will be a little warmer, between 16 and 22 degrees. So no complaints there, Mads. That's all the weather from me tonight. Back to you.
Thanks for that, Ruby. And that's the local news this Thursday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.